Well, you can't technically call them triplets, but a woman in Dallas has recently given birth to her third child through IVF therapy. All her kids were conceived on the same day, but they all have different birthdays. Have I confused you enough now? Our senior medical correspondent, Elizabeth Cohen, joins us. So I know that Mom likes to call them triplings.
Right, which she considers a combination of triplets and siblings.
Okay.
Really, they're siblings. They're not triplets. And so let me explain what they did, because this happens quite often. It's really amazing what fertility specialists can do these days. So this couple had fertility issues. So they went in 2007 and they got eggs out of mom, got sperm out of dad, and made as many embryos as they could make and froze them.
Okay.
And so they had plenty of them. So they took a couple of them and started a pregnancy for her. She got pregnant with Juliana, gave birth to her in 2008. And then 2 years later, they wanted another child. And so they went back to that freezer and took more embryos. Now, remember, those embryos were made back in 2007.
How are they made? I mean, how are they...
Egg and sperm put together in a petri dish.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that's IVF.
Yeah.
And then they put them in her in 2008, got another child. Or 2010, rather, by now, got another child. And then they wanted a third child. So they went back to the freezer, got more embryos, and got a third child, born just last month.
When you say got more embryos, do they implant more than one each time?
They usually do, because that's gonna encourage, increase your chances.
So it's kind of surprising she didn't have, say, two. She didn't have two kids. I mean, don't you with IVF? Don't you oftentimes end up with 2 or 3?
You often do, but you often get one. It's not strange to have one. One is perfectly normal. So in other words, these children were all conceived in a petri dish on the same day, but they were put in the mother years apart.
Sure.
They were frozen and they waited for her until she was ready.
How long do those frozen embryos usually last?
I mean, years. I mean, I think it's impossible to give sort of an expiration date, but years and years. I mean, they're good for quite a long time. And by the way, this it's so exciting what she did. Many couples do this. This is not at all unusual.
Oh, and what about cost? This can't be cheap.
Well, this is actually cheaper than doing it the other way. So here are the options when you're infertile. You either can do what she did, which is you freeze and you keep going back to the freezer for more.
Wow. Okay.
Or each time you go back into the mom and you get new eggs. So each time she has to take hormones and she has to be, she has to have a medical procedure to go in and get those eggs out. And that's expensive. So this is actually... freezing embryos is actually a great thing. One, it's less expensive than going into the mom and getting them each and every time.
Sure.
And number two, it's less invasive for the mom.
I would think. All right. Wow. That's fascinating to me. Elizabeth Cohen, thank you so much.
Thanks.
What an education I got today. Okay. Authorities